Well, we'd like to welcome you to the Life-Changing Word today. We hope you've enjoyed the last two episodes as we've been talking about family. Right now, women, we want to encourage you to go grab your husbands. Bring them in and sit down, because we're going to be talking about the women's role and the women's expectations today.
Yeah.
So you need to get your spouse in here to maybe open up their eyes to some things.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, this is coming from a male perspective, but we're defending the women today. We're
That's
gonna
right.
Talk about their roles and expectations and what's important to them. And maybe if guys hear it from other men, maybe it'll sink a little deeper.
Yeah. Because lots of times we don't want to hear it from our spouse, do we?
No. They don't know what they're talking about.
No, they don't have a clue. I know exactly what you need and what you want. But no, you're right. So often we need to hear it from another brother, a close friend. That's what's so great about having a brother, a friend that's close, that can say, "Hey, hello, Weyman, wake up. Do you see what you're doing? Or have you ever thought about this?" And so it's real important we have another brother that can speak to us.
One of the things that I talked about in the book was on accountability is another brother who cares enough to speak the truth to you.
Yeah.
And if you and I are friends and it's not my place, whose place is it?
Yeah.
See, that's a cop-out. We're more concerned about offending the brother rather than offending God, because God says if you see a brother headed for the slaughter and you say nothing or do nothing to help him, God's going to judge you for that. And so I'm a little bit more concerned with what God thinks rather than what you think of me. And I love you, so I'm only going to speak the truth in love. Yeah. A kiss from a friend, from an enemy is worse than blows from a friend.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I encourage any men that are out there, get yourself a good friend. God's got, I'm blessed to have Peter. Peter's my best friend, and man, Peter and I talk about a lot of stuff, and we keep each other in check. We get to do ministry together, so that's great. That two of us minister together, and the Lord's blended us together, because that helps us keep in check in ministry. Absolutely. Too. And it's
as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another man.
Yeah, so it's very important. But enough about men. Let's talk about women.
So we're going to sharpen you men right now.
Yeah. So women's role. Let's talk about the women's role.
Well, speaking from the hundreds, if not thousands, of women that I talk to all the time in counseling sessions with their husbands, the first thing they really need is just to be understood. And the Bible says that. 1 Peter chapter 3 says, "Husbands, live with your wives with understanding." Now that's almost humorous, because how do you understand a woman? But it says, live with your wives with understanding. And you and I both know that takes effort. That takes time. And the best way to learn is to keep your mouth quiet.
Oh.
Best way. You can't learn while you're talking. What did somebody say one time? You'll never put your foot in your mouth if you keep it closed. So learning to really listen, and I don't mean just hearing. I mean, boy, you could tell her back what she's really saying, what she's feeling. Can you decode what it is she's trying to say to see what's in her heart right now?
So that means we got to put down that newspaper maybe and turn off the TV possibly?
Yeah.
So we can really listen to what
women are great at it. They're active listeners. Really, oh, honey, oh, yeah, oh, I'm so... They're active listeners. You and I just scratch and grunt, So we need to look at them, hear what they're saying, and then repeat back. Okay, honey, so I hear you saying this. And so that she can say, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. And that's the biggest complaint I get, is men don't listen to their wives, and it takes them finally doing something crazy to get their attention.
The pat answers are, yeah, okay, go ahead, whatever, honey. Yeah, I love you.
Yeah.
Those are the answers, when we aren't really listening to what's going on. So women want to be listened to. We talked about it for the men. We always want to fix. So it's not about us fixing. It's about us listening to the woman and seeing what she's got to say.
I've learned in the hard way over 19 years of marriage that a lot of times I don't need to respond. I need to move the coffee cup and tie my shoe and just go, wow, okay, all right, I hear what you're saying. And then I learned to say, is there anything you'd like me to do about that? What can I do to help? And let her tell me now. And if she says nothing, I just need you to understand. Okay, great.
Wow.
If she says, well, this is what I really need you to do. Okay, all right. And then we just talk about it.
So the first thing we really need, they expect, is we're talking about the roles here, I guess. And so, but one of the expectations they have is they want us to really listen.
They want us to listen. Okay. Yeah, to understand where they're coming from. The second thing is to realize that they're tired. You know, they're physically, the Bible says in that same passage in 1 Peter 3 that they're the weaker vessel. And what I try to teach guys, especially who are over companies or, you know, big people in business, I try to tell them, you can't come home and dump your business problems on your wife. She's not wired to handle that extra weight of burden. You're the stronger vessel. You can take it on. She may not be able to. And so understand that when she gets up in the morning, whether she works or she's a housewife, that her day is filled and it's busy. And when you get home from work, she's probably tired. And a lot of times guys go, what have you done? You haven't done, the house is a mess. You know? But that's not true. They're tired. They've worked hard. They want some understanding. What I try to teach guys in our book is give them a break. Give them a half hour of downtime where you'll take the kids, you'll do their homework, you'll clean up the kitchen after dinner, just so they can relax for a few minutes.
So actually,
I know the women are applauding on television.
So actually what they're expecting is appreciation.
Appreciation.
Appreciation for what they do, that there's a value, as much a value on what they do as what you and I do.
Absolutely.
But we screw that up too, don't we?
Yeah, we mess that up too.
You're right, because one of the things I used to do, well, this is before I had the Lord in my life, because the Lord helped me walk through this, was farming, man. I pull my hair out farming, man. What? It sounds like, is that a raindrop I hear on the roof? Oh my God, there goes my crops. Oh, and dealing with employees. So I'd just be all, when I come home from work, and as soon as I walked in the door, that idiot on the ranch, he quit, he's broke down, So everything that I had carried on myself, I was now downloading onto her to get rid of it. All my anger, all my frustration, all tension, all whatever it was, I was dumping it onto her, failing to realize I was messing her up, man, and doing that. And so what Lord dealt with me was help me learn how not to have that to begin with.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to dump it on her. He taught me how to get rid of that.
And if it's real and you did have it, you know, think about what you just said. You came home and you'd start dumping this stuff on her. Well, guess who's only hearing about whose day?
Yeah.
And it's all negative. And where's your energy at that point now to hear her day? And to hear her struggle and how the baby threw up on the blanket and whatever happened, you know, her boss chewing her out. And so our job, and a guy told me one time, I'll never forget it, he said, Gary, when your hand hits the doorknob to come home, you're on the clock now to be the leader and the heavy one in the house. Your job is to take their load, their burden, and minister to them. No matter what you've gone through, when your hand hits that doorknob, you're now going to minister to your family.
So now the women's expectation then is, what you're saying is for us to be able to share the burden of what they're doing, or even actually take the load.
Yeah. You know, if we're asking them in our society to go out and work, now watch this, we're called upon to be the providers. But in our society, so often the wife is out working too. She's helping us do our job of providing. So how can we then demand or ask her or expect her to take care of all the house too? If she's doing our job, helping us do our job, then we need to help her do her job. And if she's a housewife, she's probably tired of talking little kid talk all day long. And that's where the dad's got to step in. And I tell the dads, yeah, you can let your hair down for 15 or 20 or 30 minutes when you get home. But after that, buddy, you're on the clock. You're dad now. You're home.
So it's learning to leave the job at the job. Leave your work at the work.
And what I hear is guys say, well, I work 40 hours all week. Big deal. How many hours do you work? How many hours do I work every week? That doesn't give us the right to come home and check out on the family. I mean, if that's the case, why does the wife even need us there?
And the reality is she works more than 40 hours a week taking care of the family.
And then she got to take care of us.
On top of that. Wow. I hope the women are applauding this out here. We're helping you. We're helping some men out here, but we're helping some women here today too.